Might and Magic has been a game franchise I've been heavily invested in since I was a kid, and the lore might be a bit confusing for newer people to understand. And in this video, I'm going to be putting the events of Might and Magic in chronological order. Okay, so the timeline for Might and Magic is currently split into two different timelines. We have the ancient history, and then we have the Ashan timeline. So I'm going to be talking about the ancient history in this video, which covers everything from before Ubisoft bought the rights to the franchise. The ancient history uses BS and AS, which stands for before the silence and after the silence. So whenever I'm going to be using that for the timeline, you know what that means. The timeline can be divided up to 4 different periods of time. We have the Time of Wonders, Age of Monsters, Age of Man, and then we have Post-Reckoning. So I'm mainly going to be putting in a summary and the date so that you can understand when this event occurred. So you're not going to be knowing every detail because I might want to be able to dig into that later. Now I have given you the basic information needed for you to understand what I'm going to be doing with the timeline. So let's start with the timeline now. Origin, date unknown, BS. The origin of the ancient, Einar and their words, are born. Ancient and creator conflict begins. Date unknown, BS. The war between the ancient and the creators begin. Birth of Enroth. Date circa 10,000 BS. Elemental lords create Enroth. Ancient and the Krigan War initiate. Date circa 350 BS. On the depths of the void, the Krigans launched their attack upon the Empire of the Ancients. The Crossing. Date unknown BS. The Ancients start colonizing the world of Enroth, and major continents Enroth, Yadamam, and Antanarish are settled. Colonial governments, Lionheart's reign. Date unknown BS. Rise of the colonial governments and the Empire of Bracadun. Wars on Bracadun. Date unknown BS. Yarg the Conqueror sunders the Empire of Bracadun in Antagarish. The birth of Tarnum, Gavin Magnus, and Ryan Griffinheart occurs. Fall of Bracadun. Date circa 120 BS. Tarnum takes the mantle of the Barbarian King to fight the Empire of Bracadun. The Wastelanders liberates Krulud. Tarnum is killed. Gavin Magnus is killed, realizing his immortality. Gavin and Rion Griffinheart found Bracada and Arathia. Conquest of the Underworld. Date circa 120 BS. Death of Ryan Griffinheart, Tarnum, and Alison Griffinheart. Rion's soul is rescued and returned to paradise. Day of Fire. Date circa 120 BS. Major Alan of Alliant activates an ancient weapon, destroying Visais and much of the southern Enroth for the death of his daughter. The Silence. Date 0. Contact of the ancient and the world of the Spinward Rim is severed. Enrothian Revolution. Date circa 0 to 100 AS. The colonial government is overthrown by Enrothian rebels. Formation of Kron. Date unknown AS. The Elemental Lords battle, creating what is to become the Central Research Observational Nasil. Fall of the Forges. Date 113 AS. The last of the Heavenly Forces ceases production. Sword of Frost created. Date circa 170 AS. The Sword of Frost is forged and enriched in Volle. Foundation of Avli. Date unknown AS. A younger generation of snow elves led by Elvelas depart Vori against the Elders' orders and settle in the northern Antagarish, eventually founded the kingdom of Ali. Foundation of Deja. Date unknown. A Brakadan cult practicing necromancy is deemed deeply blasphemous and exiled. The cult settles in the southern Avli and evolves into a kingdom of Deja. Yadami settled. Date unknown AS. The Varn Farid races from Enroth and Antagris settled Yadaman. Rise of the Emberlin Empire. Date 342 AS. The Emberlin Empire rises to power in southern Yadaman. Discovery of light and dark magic. Date circa 428 SA. Terex discovers light and dark magic and further develops the elemental schools. Revolt of the Beastmasters. Date unknown AS. Farnham is sent by his ancestors to free the Mudlanders of Erathian slavers. The Mudlanders are unified into the nation of Tatilia. War of the Elements. Date unknown AS. The Elemental Lords attack Enroth. Farnham leads the Brakadan expedition into the elemental planes. Gavin, Tarnum, and the First succeed in repelling the conflux. War of the Ancestors. Date unknown AS. The Ancestor Vor is corrupted by worshippers in Krulod and allies with the Fiery Moon. The followers of War attack the World Tree. Siron and Vor are defeated upon the Fiery Moon, and Vor is cured of his madness. Construction of Celeste. Date 499 AS. The capital of Brakada is constructed. Rise of the Regan Empire. Date 500 AS. Herrick and his sea raiders established the Empire of the Endless Ocean. Witches Guild form. Date 550 to 800 AS. The Witches Guild rises to prominence. Birth of Forn III. Date 589 AS. Birth of Fern III, the last Emberlin Emperor. Death of Herrick. Date 590 AS. Herrick the First was poisoned by his wife Clarine and died. Fall of the Emberlians. Date 621 AS. The Emberlin's empire crumbles. Forn III constructs the Vault of Time. Death of Fern III. Date 633 AS. The last of the Emberlians line dies under unclear circumstances. Timber Wars. Date 649 to 789 AS. Erathian King David Griffinheart IV expands beyond Phynexia and into Elven Forest lands. Inciting anger from Avli, a devastating war is declared which lasts for almost 15 decades, and that results in contested lands. Foundations of Harmondale. Date 689 to 692 AS. Erathian found Harmondale and constructs Castle Harmondale. Ruler's Ring created. Date 744 AS. Joshua Storn fashions the Ruler's Ring. End of the Age of Monsters. Date circa 780 to 800 AS. Mechorig the Blind forges innumerable artifacts of power to end the Age of Monster and promote the Age of Man. Foundations of Phynexia. Date 790 AS. The Empire of Phynexia was founded. Skirmishes for Harmondale. Date 816 to 817 AS. Death of Danforth Octavio. Ty Vespin becomes King of Harmondale. Aaron Griffinheart attacks Harmondale. Death of Ty Vespin. Warlock forges daggers. Date circa 850 AS. Mage daggers are forged by Elmo's warlocks. Fall of Phynexia. Date 864 AS. A elven offensive wipes the Empire of Phynexia from the face of Enroth. Heldon X reigns. Date 870 to 881 AS. Heldon X begins his reign over the Search of the Sun. Heldon accidentally killed while crossing the streets of Stedwick. War of Dove and Crow. Date circa 900s AS. The churches of the Sun and Moon wage war in Jadamen. Jericho renders the Search of Sun victorious. Battle of Shimengard. Date 902 AS. The Battle of Shimengard takes place and 4 is lost. Archers Guild falls. Date 912 to 918 AS. The Archers Guild Hall is burned down under suspicious circumstances. The Percival is sold to the elves. Battle of the Morning. Date circa 969 AS. Humans and elves launch a joint attack on the Assassins Guild. As Arias rises. Date circa 1000 AS. Satch Arias rises to power in Jadamen. Gem and Sandro are born. Palon battles a Mega Dragon. Date unknown AS. Aucklander creates the Mega Dragon. Unaltered timeline. Palon and the Mega Dragon destroy one another, creating the Quagmire of Doom. Altered timeline. Palon and the Kron Adventure battle the Mega Dragon and prevail. Harmondale changes hands. Date 1008 to 1009 AS. Harane's Rockwind II seizes Harmondale. Harmondale is recaptured by Erethians. Igraine Forged. Date 1018 AS. Lord Solomon Stone commissions the Ring of Iglair. The Holy War. Date 1073 to 1083 AS. Leopold VII declares war on the Church of the Moon. The Search of the Sun falls. Battle of Shadowspire. Date circa 1075 AS. Shadowspire is again invaded by the Search of the Sun. This area is eradicated. Birth of Nicholas. Date 1110 AS. Birth of Nikolai Griffinheart. The first Erathian succession. Date circa 1110 to 1120. Morglin Ironfist arrives in Enroth. The Kingdom of Enroth is founded. Castle Ironfist is constructed. Lord Alamar is defeated and Olimar is leveled. Birth of the Heirs. Date circa 1127 and 1129 AS. Archibald and Roland are born. Birth of Catherine. Date 1133 AS. Nicola and Gwillian are married. Catherine Griffinheart was born in June of 1133. Gaelu is born. Date 1140 AS. Gaelu is born. Birth of Beatrice. Date 1141 AS. Milton is born. Beatrice was born in June. Erathian Tatilla Treaty. Date 1145 AS. Nikolai Griffinheart signs the treaty with Tatillian leaders. Birth of Draken. Date circa 1149 AS. Draken is born. Catherine's Tour of Duty. Date 1150 to 1155 AS. Catherine becomes a Talon Brigade captain. Morgan Kendall finds Gaelu. Kilgore is born. Birth of Lysander. Date 1151 AS. Lysander is born. Griffinheart's Slade. Date 1153 AS. Gwillian and Beatrice is murdered by marauders. The Second Succession Wars. Date 1151 to 1154 AS. Morgan Ironfist dies. Archibald Ironfist becomes the king of Enroth. Roland Ironfist, the commander, Lord Hart, Eric von Stromgod, Anthony Stone, and Albert Newton starts a rebellion. Archibald is defeated and turned to stone by Tarin. Roland and Catherine marries. Date 1154 AS. Roland Ironfist and Catherine Griffinheart marries. Birth of Nikolai. Date 1150 AS. Nikolai Ironfist is born. Jem arrives in Antagarish and begins to defend the contested lands. Sandro's arrival. Date 1155 to 1161 AS. Lord Hart, Craghack, and Sandro arrive in Antagarish. Sandro tricks Craghack and Jem into obtaining unholy artifacts. Lord Felloren is slain and Bayarad takes his place. Mutari's reign. Date 1160s AS. Mutari rises to power in Nihon. Mutari becomes Mutari Drake. Death of Orval. Campaign for the Elixir. Date circa 1160 AS. Gaelu, Tarnum, and Drakon graduate from the Forest Guard. Gaelu obtains the Elixir of Life. Sandro poisons Bayared. War of the Unholy Alliance. Date circa 1160 to 1164 AS. Duke Alairs and Lord Fayette are murdered. Phineas Wilmar is crowned king of Deja. Sandro invades Arefia. Caleb is slain. Gog, Craghack, Galo, Nikolai's Griffinheart defeats Sandro. The angelic forces shatter. Galo becomes the commander of the Forest Guard. Death of Lord Kilburn. Date 1161 AS. Lord Kilburn is killed by werewolves at Blackshire. Knights of the Shooting Star. Date 1162 AS. The Kriegans attack Enroth. Paradise Valley and Eofol are conquered. Edenbrook and Kriegspire are seized by the Kriegans. And the cult of Ba established. Starfex is captured. Kriegans offensive. Date 1163 AS. The Kriegans attack the contested lands. Arafia and Avli. The Dungeon Overlords defeat and subdue the Kriegan attackers. Clash of the Dragons. Date 1163 to 1164 AS. Spring. The good dragon depart Avli. Utari Drake invades eastern and northeastern Antagarish. Arnhem, Eldritch Parson, and Nicholas Griffinheart defend Avli. Death of Aspen and Kurbon. Death of Nicholas. Date 1164 AS. Sandro forces an alliance between Nihon, Vilmar, and Xenofex. Stone City is invaded. September 27th. Lord Hart poisons Nicholas Griffinheart. Catherine sails to Antagarish. Restoration War begins. Date 1164 to 1165 AS. Sir Christian is rescued. Catherine and the commander land at Rion Point, and Nihon captures Sedwick. Cecilia attacks Krulod. Catherine and Gavin Magnus liberate Sedwick. Nicholas is reanimated. Venus Wilmar is eradicated. Destruction of the Hive. Date 1165 AS. Four adventurers embark on a quest to revive Milan and purge the Kriegans. Archibald Iron Fist curse is lifted. Agar, Corlagon, and Efric the Mad are eradicated. Liquor Silvertongue and the Queen is killed. The Kriegans' hive ship is sealed via the Ritual of the Void and is destroyed. Terrans arrive. Date circa 1166 AS. The Ultimate Adventures of Terra arrives in Lincoln. The Lincoln is hidden and secured in the shoals at Bryphon Point. Archibald sails to Antagarish. Date 1167 AS, circa the 23rd of October. Archibald Ironfist sails to Antagarish. Archibald Ironfist with Farouk Belnin and Ryland incites a war for independence in the contested lands. Restoration War ends. Date 1168 A. Circa August 5th. Lord Hart is slain. Nicholas Griffinheart is eradicated. Archibald becomes King of Deja. Cold War. Date 1169 AS. Or eventually becomes the Lord of Harmondale. Judge Gary is slain. Archibald is disposed of by Castor. Golden Ironfist is rescued from colony Sod. Enofex is slain. Gavin Magnus, Resurrectora, and their allies successfully revive the gate. Reanimated Lord Hart. Date circa 1170. Lord Hart is reanimated by his necromantic cult. Shadowspire replaces Mulder as the necromantic order headquarters. Sandro and Fant succeed Archibald as the guildmaster. Demon Wars. Date 1171 AS. Arathia invades Cregan Evil. Cassandar forges Armageddon's blade. Death of Cassandar. Lord Hart invades Tatilia, but is eradicated by Ardarine. Kilgore slays Duke Boragos and becomes King of Cregan. Lucifer Cregan is slain by Gaelu. The Cregans flee Enroth and Catherine abdicate. Knight of the Crystal, date 1172 AS. Estakon attempts to destroy Enroth. Balthasar's lair is flooded. Rust is immolated. Regna attacks Daggerwood. A band of adventurers releases the captive elemental lord. Destruction of Estakon. The Iron Fist returns to Enroth. Race for the Sword of Frost. Date 1172 to 1174 AS. Mutual rivals Gaelu, Kika, and Tarnum dramatically invade Voorhis and claim the Sword of Frost in Voorhis. Kija succeeds in obtaining the sword and returns it to her husband Kilgore in Krulod. Reckoning. Date 1175 AS. Avli and Krulod wage war. Eldritch Parson is slain in battle against Kilgore. Gaelu and Kilgore meet in battle, clashing Armageddon's blade and the Sword of Frost. Enroth is ravaged by destructive energies, killing thousands and leading refugees to escape through portals to Exoff. New Kingdom Strike. Date circa 1175 to 1178 AS. Foundation of Paldera, Aranon, and New Brakada. Construction of Peldon. Unification of the tribes. Date circa 1175 to 1180 AS. Warjack reunifies the barbarians. Tarnum is slain by Vogel Backbreaker. Deaths of Hundrick and Vulgar. Warjack slays Vogel. Tarnum returns to Exeof. Formation of the Pirate Kingdom. Date 1176 to 1180 AS. Black Balfour dies. Wayne Balfour conquers Bridgeton and Jarnifrey. Wayne slays Swift. Rumport is constructed. Gurley is slain. Twain slays the Merc Queen and claims the Golden Sea. Eladron Civil War. Date 1179 AS. Sir Wharton incites civil war in Paldera. Lysander visits the Oracle of the Dawn. Lucetta and Sir Kentane are freed. Wharton is crowned King of Paldera. Lysanders defeat Wharton and discovers he's part of the Griffinheart line. Aranorn Civil War. Date circa 1180 AS. Pirates raid a Aranorn Armada. Elwyn and Shahara travel to Dolphin Jump. Bull Ark is eradicated. Lord Harke bewitches and marries Shahara. Elwyn besieges Harke Manor. Elwyn is crowned King of Aranorn. Harke is defeated and imprisoned. Rise of Great Arcan. Date circa 1180s AS. Emilia Nighthaven and Far Orcsbitter found Great Arcan. Arcana is constructed. Through Brakada attacks Great Archon, Solomir Ibn Vali Barad eradicates Old King Dragon for the Rainbow Crystal. Solomir joins Great Archon. Death of Fard. Magnus captures Arcania. The Rainbow Crystal is shattered and Magnus' mind is destroyed. Rise of Necros. Date circa 1180 AS. Goldolf, half dead, ransacks Vitros and founds Necros. Sir Mardor is slain. Calabar is rescued. The Kriegans emerge on Exaoth. The points of power are activated. Melwich is eradicated. Goldolf and Ceres eradicates Calabar. Attack on Sarone. Date 1190 to 1208. Sarone is attacked by Sendar's armada via the Sea of Mist. The Magistry of Sarone is devastated. Pod Mendel and Lennox seize control of the Isles of the Dead. Pras El and his allies defeat Mandel and Lennox. Pras El travels to Erlang. Douglathorn's revival. Date circa 1200 AS. Sash Mitra accuses and imprisons Alaron on charges of practicing the necromantic arts. Alaron escapes the pit of the accursed and learns of his ancient heritage. Daria resurrects the Kriegan Daglafor, who is slain by Alaron. The Paradox. Date circa 1200 AS. Sash Mitra attacks Philandria. Elrond plays Shashmitra. Daria obtains the Paradox Harp and warps Philandria through the Paradox. Elrond slays Daria and proceeds to rebuild the kingdom. Slayers attack Aragoth. Date unknown AS. The Red Dragon Aragoth is challenged by a band of mortals serving the Dragon Pharaoh. Blood Feud. Date unknown AS. Two brothers descended from the Iron Fist dynasty wage war over Castle Kanan. The victory is ambiguous. War of the Unseen Wall. Date unknown AS. Diligence and her party travel northward to the Unseen Wall. Beside Atiqua, saved by Hitch. The Unseen Wall is attacked by Dubail's army. Hitch and Jolt arrive upon another world. Dubail is permanently destroyed. Hitch and Diligence depart in search of Ponderant. Okay, so now the timeline is now the first timeline is completely done. So I'm gonna be leaving on two notes. One thing, I am pretty new to this heavily edited format of heavily editing videos. And second off, I'm going to be covering the next timeline in the next video, so that is pretty obvious on what I'm going to be doing. So but if you like the video, leave a like, leave a comment, whatever. So I'll see you next time when doing the other timeline.